The winter air in New Haven hung thick with tension. Something was wrong. 4 times in just 2 months, someone had opened fire on family homes in the dead of night. 4 times, bullets tore through walls where children slept. 4 times, by some miracle, no one died. But the clock was ticking. December 11th, 2020. The first incident. 5 shots ring out on Huntington Street. When officers arrive at the scene, they find a house riddled with bullet holes. The family inside, shaken but alive, can offer little explanation. Who would do this, and why? The investigators begin their work. Scattered across the pavement, they discover spent shell casings. All the same caliber, .45. Detective David Zuzzi examines the evidence, not yet knowing this is just the beginning of something far more sinister. January 15th, 2021. It happens again. February 5th. A third shooting. Then February 6th. Another home. Another family. 5 rounds fired into occupied rooms. The officers arrive to find more of those distinctive brass casings glinting under their flashlights. .45 caliber every single time. A pattern is forming now, coming into focus like a photograph in developing fluid. The same weapon, the same caliber. And in these last 2 shootings, something else. Witnesses report seeing a dark-colored SUV fleeing into the night. The question hangs in the air like smoke. What connects these attacks? And more urgently, when will the shooter's luck run out? When will someone die? The answer comes sooner than anyone expects. February 6th, 2021. 8:30 p.m. The East Rock neighborhood should be quiet on a Saturday evening. Families settling in for the night, students studying, the peaceful rhythm of suburban life. Instead, the sharp crack of gunfire shatters the stillness. By the time Detective Zuzzi and his partner, Detective Stephen Cunningham, arrive at the corner of Lawrence and Nickel Street, the patrol officers have already secured the perimeter. Yellow tape catches in the cold wind. Red and blue lights paint the scene in urgent colors. A white sheet covers something in the middle of the intersection. Beneath it lies 26-year-old Kevin Jiang, a graduate student at Yale's prestigious School of the Environment. 8 bullets have found their mark. His journey is over, ended violently on a street corner just 2 blocks from where his evening began. The detectives lift the sheet, and what they see tells a story of calculated violence. Gunshot wounds to his upper body, to his head. But it's the stippling that catches their attention. That distinctive burn pattern around the wounds. It can only mean one thing. Someone stood close to Kevin Jiang. Very close. And fired repeatedly. This wasn't random. This was personal. Around them, the crime scene reveals its secrets piece by piece. 8 shell casings scattered across the asphalt. The detectives' hearts sink as they examine them. .45 caliber. The same caliber from all those home invasions. But there's something else. About 100 feet away sits a Prius, hazard lights still blinking rhythmically in the darkness. The car belongs to the victim. But why is it here, in the middle of the road? Crime scene investigators circle the vehicle, documenting every detail. Then they see it. On the rear bumper, there's an impression, a rectangular mark. It looks exactly like the imprint a license plate holder would make in a minor collision. A fender bender, not violent, just enough to bring a good Samaritan out of his car to exchange insurance information. The pieces are starting to fit together, but the picture they're forming is chilling. Witnesses begin to come forward, their stories tumbling out in a rush. A woman heard what she thought was a minor accident. Curious, she went to her window. She watched as the Prius came to a stop, hazards blinking. She saw a dark SUV pull up behind it, then reverse back toward the intersection. She watched as a man emerged from the Prius and walked toward the SUV. The kind of thing you'd do after a fender bender. The responsible thing, the right thing. Then she heard gunshots, saw the muzzle flash. Another witness heard that first volley of shots and rushed to her window. What she saw will haunt her forever. A figure dressed entirely in black, standing over someone lying motionless on the ground. Then more shots, more muzzle flashes. The figure firing down at the person who wasn't moving. Wasn't fighting back, wasn't a threat. The detectives exchanged glances. This level of violence, this determination to ensure the victim was dead, it speaks of rage, of obsession, of something deeply, terribly personal. Later, back at headquarters, they review security footage from a neighbor's camera. The image quality is poor, the frame partially obscured by reflections from inside the house. But the audio is crystal clear. First comes the sound of the collision, metal meeting metal. Then you see the Prius drift into frame, followed by the dark SUV. The SUV reverses. Kevin Jiang exits his vehicle and walks out of frame. What happens next is difficult to hear. 2 gunshots crack through the night air. Then a scream. A human being realizing, in that final terrible moment, what's about to happen. 6 more shots follow in rapid succession. Moments later, the SUV drives away, leaving Kevin Jiang dying on the cold pavement. The detectives can't see the license plate, can't make out the driver, can't identify the make or model with certainty, but they know they're looking for a dark SUV. And they know that somewhere out there a killer is trying to get away with murder. While the crime scene investigators work through the night, Detectives Zuzi and Cunningham have another duty to perform, one that never gets easier no matter how many times they've done it. They need to notify Kevin's family. They drive to his home, a modest house that Kevin purchased just 2 years earlier. When his mother, Linda Liu, opens the door, she has no idea her world is about to collapse. Detective Zuzi keeps it direct. That's the kindest way, even though there's no kind way to deliver news like this. He tells her that her son has been shot, that he died at the corner of Lawrence and Nickel Street. Linda falls to the ground, her cries of anguish echoing through the house. It's the sound of a mother's heart breaking, the sound of a future erased, the sound of a family destroyed. When she can speak, she tells the detectives about her son, and what they learn paints a picture of a life lived with purpose and kindness. Kevin was brilliant, an Army National Guard veteran who served his country with honor. A graduate student at Yale studying environmental science, determined to make the world a better place. He was religious, devoted to his faith and his church community at Trinity Baptist. Pastor Gregory Hendrickson knew Kevin well. He'd watched him grow from a bullied child into a confident, caring young man. Kevin's childhood had been difficult, marked by challenges that would have broken others. But his mother never gave up on him. She pushed him, supported him, loved him through every hardship. And when Kevin bought this house in 2019, one of his first actions was to invite his mother to live with him. She'd been alone on the other side of the country. Kevin wanted her close, wanted to care for her the way she'd cared for him. That's the kind of person Kevin Jiang was. Just 1 week before his murder, Kevin's life had reached a beautiful milestone. He'd proposed to his girlfriend, Zion Perry. The engagement video shows pure joy. Kevin, beaming with happiness, slipping a ring onto Zion's finger, her delighted surprise, their embrace. "Oh wow," she says in the video, her voice filled with wonder and love. Kevin's friend from the National Guard, Lieutenant Naja Hubbard, remembers how Kevin talked about Zion. His whole face would light up. Every conversation somehow circled back to her. You could hear the genuineness in his voice, Hubbard recalls, the depth of his love. It made you hope to find someone like that yourself. Zion Perry was brilliant in her own right, an honors student from Pennsylvania who'd earned her undergraduate degree from MIT. Now she was pursuing her PhD at Yale in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. She and Kevin shared a love of science, of nature, of making a difference in the world. But more than that, they shared values. Neither of them defined themselves by their considerable accomplishments. They were, at their core, people of faith who wanted to serve others. That Saturday, February 6th, Kevin and Zion spent the day together. They went ice fishing, laughing in the cold. They had dinner at her house, just 2 blocks from where Kevin would die. Around 8:30 p.m., Kevin left for home. He never made it. When detectives Zuzi and Cunningham interview Zion, she's devastated. She tells them she heard gunshots that night, maybe 5 or 10 minutes after Kevin left. But she didn't connect it to him. Why would she? He should have been long gone by then. The detectives ask if she has any idea who might have wanted to hurt Kevin. Any enemies? Any conflicts? Anyone with a grudge? Nothing. She can think of nothing. Kevin was by all accounts genuinely kind, the type of person who made the world better just by being in it. So who killed him, and why? Act 4. The Break. It's day 2 of the investigation. Detective Zuzi sits at his desk, running through possibilities. The evidence points to premeditation, the deliberate rear-ending to get Kevin out of his car, the close-range shots, the connection to those earlier shootings around New Haven. But the motive remains elusive. Then the phone rings. It's a sergeant from the North Haven Police Department just a few towns over. He has information about 2 incidents from the previous night and that morning. Incidents that might be connected to the homicide. Zuzi listens, his pulse quickening as the pieces fall into place. The first incident happened at 9 p.m. on February 6th, less than half an hour after Kevin was killed. A security guard at Sims Metal Management, a scrapyard in North Haven, called 911. Someone in a dark SUV had been driving around the yard, seemingly lost. The security guard chased the vehicle, and it ended up stuck on snow-covered railroad tracks near the rear exit. North Haven police responded. Sergeant Jeffrey Mills and Officer Marcus Ayers found the vehicle right where the guard said it would be. A dark GMC SUV, wheels spinning uselessly on the tracks. The body camera footage shows their approach. A man sits behind the wheel looking frustrated but calm. Too calm, perhaps, for someone who's just gotten their expensive vehicle stuck. His name is Jiang Pan, 29 years old. From Malden, Massachusetts. He's a graduate student at MIT. Sergeant Mills checks Pan's license and registration. Everything's clean. No warrants, no red flags. Pan explains that he took a wrong turn, thought he was being chased by the security guard, and ended up on the tracks. It happens, Mills thinks. People get lost. Kids go back there all the time. But Mills notices a few things. There's a yellow jacket on the passenger seat, a blue bag and a briefcase in the back. Nothing suspicious on its own, but details that will matter later. Pan doesn't seem nervous. He's polite, cooperative. He asks what he should do. Mills suggests getting a tow truck, maybe staying at a hotel for the night, picking up the car in the morning. Pan agrees readily. The tow truck arrives. It takes some work, but they get the SUV off the tracks. Pan pays for a ride to the Best Western Hotel nearby. Sergeant Mills clears the call and moves on with his shift. Just another minor incident. Nothing to worry about. But the next morning, everything changes. Around 11 a.m. on February 7th, an employee at the Arby's restaurant next to the Best Western finds bags lying on the grass near the entrance. 3 bags. A blue retail bag with a Massachusetts logo, a small black leather briefcase. When they look inside, they find something that makes them immediately call 911. A gun, a .45 caliber handgun, and approximately 10 boxes of ammunition. Sergeant Mills responds to the scene. As soon as he sees those bags, recognition hits him like a punch to the gut. These are the same bags he saw in Jiang Pan's vehicle the night before. The blue Massachusetts bag. The black briefcase. And there's something else in one of the bags. A yellow jacket. The same yellow jacket Pan was wearing. By this time, Mills has heard about the homicide in New Haven. A Yale graduate student shot 8 times. Dark-colored SUV fleeing the scene. .45 caliber shell casings. Dark SUV. .45 caliber. Yellow jacket. The same items he saw hours earlier. Mills contacts New Haven homicide immediately. When the gun is tested, it confirms what everyone now suspects. It's a .45 caliber weapon. But more importantly, when forensic experts examine the shell casings from all those home shootings over the past 2 months, they all match. Every single one. The shooter who terrorized those families, who fired randomly into homes where children slept, is the same person who murdered Kevin Jiang. This wasn't random at all. Those home invasions were practice, or more likely misdirection. A way to make Kevin's murder look like just another senseless shooting in a string of attacks. It was calculated, methodical, the work of someone intelligent enough to create a false pattern. Detective Zuzi immediately orders investigators to the Best Western where Pan stayed. They get a key to room 276 and enter carefully, not knowing what they'll find. The room is pristine, unused. It doesn't look like anyone stayed there at all. Pan checked in, got the room key, and disappeared. But where did he go? Detective Joe Galvin, a member of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, drives to Malden, Massachusetts, Pan's last known address. It's an affluent neighborhood, well-maintained homes, the kind of place where a brilliant MIT student's family might live. Galvin knocks on the door. No answer. The house appears empty. No cars in the driveway. No signs of life. Are they on vacation? Or is something more sinister at play? After all, they're dealing with someone who just committed a calculated murder. Is Pan's family in danger? Are they victims themselves? Or are they helping him flee? Too many questions. Not enough answers. Galvin returns to headquarters, and Zuzi turns to what has become an investigator's most valuable tool, social media. He pulls up Qingzuan Pan's Facebook page. It's sparse. Very little activity. The last post dates back to 2016. A few photos with other students. Nothing recent. Nothing that explains why this brilliant young man would commit murder. But then Zuzi starts scrolling through Pan's friends list, looking for Kevin Jiang's name. It's not there. However, another name catches his attention. A name that makes everything suddenly, sickeningly clear. Zion Perry, Kevin's fiancée, is Facebook friends with Qingzuan Pan. Zuzi immediately contacts Zion again. She's confused by his questions at first. Yes, she knows Pan. They met at MIT back in 2019. But they were barely friends, more like acquaintances, people who knew each other from the same academic circles. Had they ever dated? Ever been romantic? No. Never. Nothing like that. When was the last time she spoke to him? May 2020, almost a year ago. Pan had reached out through Facebook Messenger to congratulate her on graduating from MIT. He asked if they could FaceTime. She politely declined. She thought that was the end of it. Zuzi then asks to see her Facebook page. What has she posted recently? The answer makes his blood run cold. Zion's most recent posts are all about her engagement to Kevin. Photos of the proposal, images of the happy couple, declarations of love and excitement about their future together, all publicly visible, all easy to find if someone was looking. Suddenly, the motive comes into sharp focus. This wasn't about Kevin at all. Kevin was simply in the way. Pan had an obsession, a secret fixation on Zion Perry that she never knew about, never encouraged, never reciprocated. And when she got engaged to someone else, when she posted her happiness for the world to see, Pan couldn't accept it. The theory forms. Pan followed Zion's social media, learned about Kevin, tracked his movements, planned his murder with chilling precision, the fake car accident to get Kevin out of his vehicle, the close-range shooting to ensure he died, even those earlier home invasions to create a pattern that would mislead investigators. It was all premeditated, all calculated, the work of a highly intelligent person who thought he could get away with murder. While investigators hunt for Pan, Kevin's loved ones gather to mourn. The day after the shooting, nearly 700 people join a virtual vigil. Kevin's mother, Linda, his father, Mingshen Jiang, Zion, friends, fellow students, members of his army unit, all connected by grief and disbelief. Zion addresses the mourners, her voice breaking. She talks about her faith, about the belief that she'll see Kevin again someday in heaven. She thanks his parents for raising such a remarkable man, for bringing him into the world, for giving her the gift of knowing him, even if it was for far too brief a time. Linda speaks through tears. Kevin was supposed to give her grandchildren. She had such beautiful dreams for his future, for their family. All of that is gone now, erased by 8 bullets on a cold February night. She's alone now, truly alone. She'll never see Kevin smile again. Pastor Gregory Hendrickson leads the funeral service. He speaks of Kevin's faith, his kindness, his service to others. Kevin is buried with full military honors, his fellow soldiers standing at attention as taps plays. It's just 2 days before what would have been his 27th birthday, Valentine's Day. Zion reads a poem Kevin wrote for her. It begins, If this world falls apart, it will be all right, because we have each other's hearts. But now they don't even have that. The world fell apart and Kevin is gone. U.S. Marshal Matthew Duffy and Deputy Marshal Kevin Perro joined Detective Galvin on the fugitive task force. Their target, a genius-level MIT graduate student who's now on the run. They start building a profile. Chingsuan Pan, age 29, degree in computer science, currently pursuing a graduate degree in artificial intelligence. Brilliant mind, socially awkward, not many friends. As one investigator will later put it, MIT graduate, genius-level intelligence when it comes to computers and AI. But socially, not so much. The marshals discover Pan has 3 active cell phones. They start tracking his movements in the months before the murder. What they find is damning. Pan contacted multiple car dealerships, always the same story. He wanted to test drive a vehicle. He was going on a camping trip, he'd say. Just needed to check out a few options. The marshals matched the dates of these test drives to the shootings. Every single one lines up perfectly. Pan would rent or test drive a vehicle, commit a shooting, return the vehicle, then do it all over again. He was practicing, refining his plan, making sure everything would work when it mattered most. Those home invasions weren't random. They were part of an elaborate scheme to mislead investigators. Make Kevin's murder look like just another shooting in a series. Pan knew police would connect the caliber of the weapon, would assume it was all part of the same pattern. He almost succeeded. But then there's the matter of Pan's parents. The marshals quickly learn they're not ordinary parents. They're wealthy. Very wealthy, with access to several $1 million and ties to Shanghai. Shortly after Kevin's murder, Pan called his parents. They withdrew about $1,000 in cash and drove from Massachusetts to Connecticut to meet him. What did he tell them? What did they know? The marshals track Pan's parents' cell phones. They find one at a gas station in North Carolina. But when they arrive, the phone is on the ground, crushed, like a car ran over it, deliberately destroyed. 3 days later, Georgia State Police pull over Pan's parents near Atlanta. They're in their car. But Pan isn't with them. The marshals question them. Were they shocked to learn their son was suspected of murder? Not really. They show no surprise, no horror, just a kind of resigned acceptance. The father tells them Pan called, said he needed help, asked them to bring cash. They picked him up in Connecticut. He took the wheel and drove them south. They drove for hours. Pan hardly spoke, just stared at the road. Then, somewhere in Georgia, he pulled over, got out of the car, and walked into the woods without saying a word. The mother volunteers that her son probably killed himself out there. Lost in grief and guilt, she suggests, gone forever. The marshals don't believe it for a second. Pan is too smart, too calculating. This is exactly what he'd want them to think. The parents are photographed and released. The mother declines to answer questions without an attorney. But the marshals know the truth. These parents will do anything to protect their son. They'll lie. They'll obstruct. They'll help him disappear. So the task force shifts strategy. Instead of chasing Pan, they watch his parents, wait for them to make contact, to lead them to their fugitive son. It requires patience, tremendous patience. But they don't have a choice. Weeks pass. The case goes cold. Media coverage intensifies. U.S. Marshals leading nationwide manhunt for MIT student wanted in Yale murder. The story is everywhere. The pressure mounts. Then, activity. Pan's parents start making large cash withdrawals. $5,000 here, $10,000 there. Enough money for someone to disappear. Maybe even leave the country. They still have family in China. Is that the plan? The parents rent a car and start traveling south again. The marshals track the vehicle's GPS. Then, suddenly, the signal goes dark. Pan disabled GPS systems in the cars he used during his shooting spree. Of course, his parents would know to do the same. It's a game of cat and mouse. Tactics and counter-tactics. They're playing against someone who thought of everything. At a mall in Georgia, surveillance cameras catch Pan's father purchasing a computer. Everyone's wearing masks because of COVID, so the footage isn't conclusive. But about 10 minutes after the father enters, another figure appears. fitting Pan's description perfectly. So the suicide story is definitely false. Pan is alive. His parents are helping him, and the clock is ticking. The parents eventually drive back north. Once they're in Connecticut, the GPS mysteriously comes back online. The marshals wait and watch and hope for a mistake. 2 more months crawl by. April becomes May. The case stays in the headlines. Where is Jiang Pan? Is he still in the country? Is he already gone? Then, May 4th, 2021. Pan's parents hit the road for a 3rd time. But this time, they're not alone. They're traveling with another couple. Camouflage, the marshals realize. Make it look like a casual trip with friends. Nothing suspicious. Just 2 couples enjoying a vacation. The marshals maintain surveillance. Pan's parents and their unsuspecting companions check into a hotel in North Carolina. The task force watches, waits. Late one night, Pan's mother, Guoqing Liu, approaches the front desk clerk. She asks to borrow his phone, says hers isn't working. The clerk agrees. She makes a call, then deletes the number from his phone before returning it. But the marshals are thorough. They interview the clerk as soon as the parents check out. Can he remember anything about that call? Did she say anything? Do anything unusual? The clerk is helpful. More than helpful. Phone companies can recover deleted call logs. Within hours, the marshals have the number Pan's mother called. They trace it to a boarding house near Alabama State University in Montgomery. After 3 months of searching, they finally have him. The marshals assemble a team, about 20 officers. They're taking no chances. Pan has proven he's dangerous, unpredictable, intelligent enough to evade capture for 3 months. They surround the boarding house in the pre-dawn hours, guns drawn, ready for anything. They knock on Pan's door and he just opens it. No struggle, no dramatic confrontation. He simply says, "I'm who you're looking for." On Pan's person, the marshals find approximately $20,000 in cash. His father's passport, 7 SIM cards, multiple communication devices, a computer. Everything you'd need to disappear, to start a new life somewhere far away. But he didn't make it. After 3 months on the run, after all his planning and intelligence and resources, Jiang Pan is in custody. He's brought back to Connecticut and charged with Kevin Jiang's murder. A judge sets bail at $20 million. He's not going anywhere. The relief among Kevin's loved ones is overwhelming, but it's tempered by the knowledge that Kevin isn't coming back, that no arrest can undo what was done. As the case moves toward trial, prosecutors compile their evidence. It's overwhelming. Remember that license plate impression on Kevin's car? Forensic analysts match it perfectly to the license plate holder on the front of the SUV Pan was driving that night. The gun and ammunition found outside Arby's? Pan's DNA is all over them. Kevin's blood? Found on Pan's hat and on the gear shift of the SUV. The shell casings from all the shootings? They all match. Pan fired practice shots into random homes, terrorizing innocent families, just to create a false pattern. Security footage places Pan's vehicle in New Haven at the time of the murder. Cell phone records confirm his movements. Witnesses describe the dark SUV. Everything fits. There's only one thing missing: the actual murder weapon. The gun used to kill Kevin Jiang. Pan disposed of it somewhere, and it's never recovered. But Assistant State's Attorney Stacy Miranda knows it doesn't matter. The evidence without it is still crushing. Pan's attorney, William Gerace, reviews everything. The DNA, the blood, the casings, the timeline, the motive. He knows what any good attorney would know. This is a case you cannot win. He advises his client to make a deal. The pandemic delays the trial. Years pass. Linda Liu waits. Zion Perry waits. Kevin's friends and fellow soldiers wait. Justice moves slowly, but it moves. Finally, on February 29, 2024, 3 years after Kevin's murder, Jiang Pan appears in court. He agrees to plead guilty to murder in exchange for 35 years in prison without the possibility of parole. No trial, no opportunity to explain himself. Just an admission of guilt and the guarantee of decades behind bars. April 2024. The sentencing hearing. By court order, the camera is fixed on Pan. We'll hear the victim impact statements, but the focus stays on the man who destroyed so many lives. Kevin's mother, Linda's words are read by a family friend. Her voice shakes with grief that hasn't dimmed in 3 years. I was dreaming that Kevin would have a few beautiful children after getting married. This beautiful and joyful dream is destroyed. I am left alone by myself. I will never see Kevin smile again. Then Linda decides to speak directly to Pan herself. 35 years in prison is too short and too light. Throughout all of this, Pan sits motionless, expressionless. He doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge the pain he's caused. Then Jiang Perry rises to speak. For the first time, Pan lifts his head, meets her eyes. Her voice is steady, strong. She addresses him directly. I wanted to address Pan specifically. Although your sentence is far less than you deserve, there is also mercy. May God have mercy on you, and may He have mercy on all of us. It's a stunning moment. The woman Pan was obsessed with, the woman whose relationship he destroyed by murdering her fiancé, offering him words of faith and forgiveness. Finally, Pan is given an opportunity to speak. His statement is brief, perfunctory. Your Honor, what I'm thinking about is my actions and the horrible consequences. I feel sorry for what my actions caused and for everyone affected. I fully accept my penalties the court is going to impose. No real explanation, no genuine remorse. Just empty words from someone who knows he's beaten. Judge Harmon passes the agreed-upon sentence. 35 years without parole. Pan is led away in handcuffs. He'll be in his 60s before he sees freedom again, if he ever does. After the sentencing, people ask, why weren't Pan's parents charged? The answer frustrates everyone involved. The prosecutors simply couldn't prove that when Pan's parents picked him up in Connecticut, they knew he'd committed murder. Without that knowledge, there's no crime in helping your son. Were they lucky? Absolutely. Did they obstruct justice? Almost certainly. But in the American legal system, almost certainly isn't enough. The marshals and detectives strongly believe the parents knew everything, that they actively helped Pan evade capture, that their story about him walking into the woods to kill himself was a deliberate lie. But belief isn't proof. So Pan's parents go free, while their son spends decades behind bars. It's one of those imperfect outcomes that haunt investigators. Justice served, but not fully. After the sentencing, after the media coverage dies down, after the case files are closed and stored away, one question remains. What would Kevin Jiang think about all this? His friends from the Army believe they know the answer. Lieutenant Hubbard doesn't hesitate. Yes, I do think Kevin would have forgiven Pan without a doubt. That's who he was. Kevin was a man of deep faith, someone who believed in redemption, in mercy, in the power of forgiveness even when it seems impossible. The officers who work the case visit his grave after speaking about it. They pay their respects to a man they never knew in life, but came to admire through their investigation. Lieutenant Hubbard recalls her first visit to Kevin's grave. She stood there in the cemetery, feeling the weight of everything that happened, everything that was lost. Then something unusual happened. A wind picked up. Not a random breeze, but something that felt deliberate, meaningful. I felt like it was definitely different, she says, struggling to put it into words. Like Kevin was there. Like he wanted us to know. Don't be sad that I'm gone. Just keep going. And that's what they do. What they all do. Linda Liu lives with the unbearable loss of her only child. Jiang Perry continues her studies, carrying Kevin's memory with her. The officers and soldiers who knew Kevin honor him by remembering his kindness, his faith, his service. Kevin Jiang's life was cut short at 26. He never got to marry Jiang. Never had those children his mother dreamed about. Never got to complete his environmental studies or make the difference he wanted to make in the world. But he left an impact nonetheless, in the people who loved him, in the community that mourned him, in the example he set of how to live with faith and integrity and compassion. On February 6, 2021, Qingxuan Pan tried to erase Kevin Jiang from existence. 8 bullets in a dark intersection designed to end not just a life but the memory of that life. He failed. Kevin Jiang is remembered. His story is told, and the lessons of his short but meaningful life continue to resonate. In the end, That's the only justice that truly matters. Not the length of a prison sentence, not the convictions or the trials or the headlines, but the memory of a good man who deserved so much better than what he got, and the determination to ensure that his light, however briefly it burned, is never forgotten. This case serves as a sobering reminder that obsession, left unchecked, can lead to tragedy. That social media gives us windows into lives we're not truly part of. That intelligence without wisdom, without empathy, without basic human decency, can become a weapon. But it also reminds us of the capacity for forgiveness, for grace, for finding meaning even in senseless loss. Kevin Jiang would want us to remember that. Not the violence that ended his life, but the values that defined it. And so we do.